the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the head of the tiger. So you're going to take from the bit that you have left about a third of that. So if we were going to divide it into 3 pieces, I would take just one of those 3 pieces. Okay, so I take this amount of clay and I'm going to place it in my palms and roll it into a sphere shape. Like this. Okay, and again, I'm wanting it to be really nice and smooth. If there are any lumps or cracks, I can smooth them over with my fingers. And then I'm ready to place it onto the tiger's body. Now, before we place it onto the tiger's body, we need to use a technique that we call scoring. So what we're going to do is we're going to make some lines in different directions to add texture to the clay and texture to the clay that we want to attach it to. Okay, if the 2 pieces both have texture, it means that they will merge together and stick together much more securely. If you don't do this, when your clay dries, the head will probably just fall off. Okay, so I'm going to use a chopstick and I'm going to use it to make some small lines going in one direction, and then I'll make them going in the other direction. So I'm making a cross shape. Okay, so one direction and then another direction crossing over. So I get this kind of texture on the bottom. Then I need to do the same thing where I would like to attach the head. So I'm going to attach the head at this end of the clay. So I'm going to again make some marks in this direction and then in this direction, so I have some texture. So now I have 2 pieces of clay with texture on them. We call this scoring. And then I'm going to attach the 2 bits of textured clay together like this. So now I have the tiger's head and the tiger's body. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and smooth the 2 pieces together. Now again, the chopstick that I used earlier, I can use this to get into those little gaps and to help to smooth the 2 bits of clay together. So I'm using a kind of rolling motion here, twisting the chopstick to smooth together the different bits. And then I can use my finger to really get those 2 bits together smoothly. And I go all the way around. Okay, so my aim is that I have a head and a body and that I can't see the line where I join them together because I've smoothed it down. Okay, so here's my tiger's body and the tiger's head. What I can do now is start to pinch forward the face and slightly press into the top like this. So I get the nose of the tiger sticking forward. Okay, so be really nice and gentle, and you can start pinching the front of the face and pulling the nose forward a little bit so I get the shape of the tiger's head. Okay, so the next part is going to be to add the legs. So with the remaining clay that I took from the packet, I'm going to take a small piece to the side that I'm going to use to make the tail and the ears. Okay, and I'm going to put that to the side. Then I'm going to use the rest of the clay to make my 4 legs. So I'm going to need to divide it into 2 pieces first. And then each of these I'm going to divide into 2 pieces. So now I have 4 equal pieces that I can make my legs. And I have a small piece, even smaller, that I'm going to make the ears and the tail later. Okay, so with the 4 leg pieces, we're going to try and make a long sausage shape. So you're going to begin by gently rolling, just with 2 fingers is fine, gently rolling forward and back that clay to make a sausage shape. Okay, and I'm trying to make it the same length, so I'm trying to make it the same width all the way along. I don't want it to be thinner at one end and thicker at the other. It needs to be the same all the way along. Okay, so now I have 1 leg. I can start on my second. Then my third. Okay, trying to get nice and smooth and the same width all along. And then my fourth. Okay, now you'll notice that these 4 legs are not the same length, but they are the same width. Okay, and that's the most important thing, because I can cut them later to be the right length. Okay, so the most important thing is I've managed to get them all the same width. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the front legs to the tiger, and they are going to be pointing forwards. So I'm going to, because he is lying down, or she, so I need to place the leg about 2 centimeters up the body, like this, and then the same on the other side as well. So I now have the tiger with 2 legs pointing forwards. Now what I can do, so the same on this side, I have positioned this leg about 2 centimeters up from the front. This means I've got plenty of clay to attach together and it'll be a nice strong structure. But now what I can do is I can cut the legs down to be the right length. So I would say that this leg is about right, about correct. It should only stick out maybe about 2.5 to 3 centimeters. This one's a bit too long, so I can use my chopstick again to just cut that off. And then I may need to smooth it and round it into a paw. Okay, so I have my 2 legs like this. Now we're going to use the same scoring method to attach each leg to the body. So same as before, I need to make a texture on the leg. So the lines in the different directions, and I need to make a texture onto the body here. So lines in this direction, and then lines in this direction. Now I have my 2 textured areas that I can join together. And again, I'm going to try and smooth them so that I can't see the join anymore. Okay, this one is easier to do with your finger, but if you find it easier, you can also use the chopstick to smooth that together so we can't see where it was joined. Okay. So now I'm going to repeat the same thing. Now that I've got that nice smooth join here, I'm going to repeat the same thing on this side. Okay, while you're doing that, if the legs have become misshapen, if they don't look correct, take some time to make sure that they are the same width as each other and they are pointing forwards. So this one for me went a bit wonky when I was attaching it, so I'm just going to take some time to smooth it down and make sure it's the same as this leg on this side. Okay, so now we have a tiger, a head, a body, 2 legs pointing forward. Now we need to do the back legs, and they are a bit of a different shape. So I still have my 2 legs left from earlier. I'm going to start by making them the same length. Okay, they should be about between 5 and 6 centimeters long. And then for the back leg, I need to bend it over like this. Okay, so just to show you again, it's straight, and then I'm going to push in, not in the middle, but just before the middle. I'm going to push in like this, so it's bent in half, but then there's a little foot on the end. Okay, so I'm going to make 2 of these. So bend it, so the halfway point is here. I'm going to bend it just before the halfway point, and then I'm going to let that little foot stick out on the end. Okay, the good thing with the clay is if it doesn't work, you can undo it and do it again until you've got the correct shape, and they should both be the same. Now I'm going to slip and score, so making the texture and then attaching them onto the body like this. So let's make the lines on here like we did before. Then we make the texture onto the body. So you see, it doesn't have to be a perfect pattern, it just needs to be textured and not smooth. Okay, once I've got my 2 textured pieces, I will join them together, gently push them in, and then again smooth the clay together. And for this one, I'm going to use my chopstick to get into those little gaps. And then repeat the same with this leg. Right, so now I have, so you can gently pick it up. I have the tiger body, head, front 2 legs, and back 2 legs made. Now I can use the bit of clay that I kept before to make the tail. So again, using the rolling method to make a long, thin shape, and I'm trying to make it the same width all the way along. And I can check that that looks good. Okay, I think that's a good shape. So now I'm going to score the back of the tiger where I want to attach it, and I'm going to score the tail where it's going to fix onto the tiger's body. So I have some texture on there. I'm going to put it onto the tiger. It's a good idea. If you have it sticking out like this, this will probably break when it dries. So we're going to attach it so that it actually stays fixed to the tiger's body. You can curl it around into a nice shape like this. And then again, I'm going to smooth the tail so it joins into the body. And I don't have to smooth all the way along, but I'm just going to smooth at the bottom here where it meets. Okay, so that is joined very securely. And then I'm going to press this to the body so that it will not snap off when it dries. Now the last thing I have to make are some ears. So take the remaining little bits of clay and roll them into 2 very small balls. And then I'm going to pinch it so it goes flat. Okay, so pinched like that, so it's a flat shape. And then I'm going to attach it to the head like this, and so it would need to be squashed in a little bit to make, so it's no longer a circle, but it's this kind of shape here. Do the same thing. So I've rolled the ball, press it gently so it's flat, and then gently press it into the head, give it a little pinch on the sides so that I end up with these ear shapes. Okay, like a tiger. So now I'm going to use my chopstick to make sure there's some texture on the ear and the head. Push them together and smooth them down. Now this is a very fiddly one. This is the smallest one. So I'm going to use my chopstick and again rolling it and gently pressing them together so they join. And I'm aiming to try and make it as smooth as possible. Okay, same on this side. Let's add a bit of texture, score the clay here, and push them together. Okay, so we have our tiger with its ears, legs and tail. The last thing that you can do is try to add in, pinch the sides of the face a little bit so that we have this nose coming forward. And I can use my chopstick to just press in where the eyes would be. Just gently. Okay, and then I can add more detail when I paint it later. We're just focusing on getting the shape of the tiger today. So here is my finished tiger model. And this will take a week to dry. So now I need to put it somewhere very safe, put it flat on a piece of paper and leave it for 1 week to become completely dry.